As we have fun, so will we debate. Now, the next segment is the debate segment. We are going to listen to members of the Debate Association, the Writers and Debate Society of the GIJ. We are told that on Thursday they have street debate, where it's an open debate for everybody. Everybody makes their point. If you want to listen, you can join them and listen. Today we have them in the studio, and they will be debating on whether or not Ghana's independence was premature. Musbah Razak will be arguing for the motion, and then Kabu Nate will be arguing against the motion. So they have 5 minutes each to make their arguments, and then 5 minutes to make any rebuttals. In the middle of the argument, either of them can ask a question, and then if the debater wants to to answer the question, it is totally to their discretion. He can make his response and then continue with his debate. So now off we go to our debaters. We want to know what they think. After that, you can also let us know what you think. Musbah Razak, was Ghana's independence premature? Okay, Kabu Nate, you will take that.
Okay, so good morning to your viewers and good morning to you, Madam Chair. The motion before this House is that Ghana's independence was premature, okay? And what this debate seeks to establish are 3 basic questions. One is that, what is the contextual definition of Ghana's independence? The question is contextual definition of not any other country's independence but Ghana's independence. The next one I'll seek to answer is, was the presence of the colonial masters a threat to the Gold Coast? Okay, and then the next question too is that, was the struggle for the independence at its right time? If yes, why? Okay, now first of all, we must understand that this debate is not necessarily about the textbook or the scholarly point of view, but it's just going to be based on simple logic, analysis, and observation of the contemporary Ghana, okay? And then the viewpoint of a communicator like myself from GIJ, okay? Now, why do I think that my opponent will fall out of the debate right from the word go? Musbah, he will fall out of the debate. I think that he will come here to argue that he's going to juxtapose the development of the then Gold Coast or the then Ghana to the present Ghana here, which will be out of the debate, because it is not to assess the development of Ghana. What the motion is trying to suggest is that, was the independence of Ghana justified? Okay, was it the right time? And that's exactly what I will argue here. So not about development, okay? Now, what is the contextual definition of independence? We've had several definitions of independence. I listened to some Ghanaians and they tell you that independence is purposely to have control over your affairs for development, okay? But in that circumstance, it was a situation, okay? And in that situation, Ghana needed something, not necessarily development. Ghana needed one tool to development, a means to development, and that was freedom, non-alignment, okay? The ability not to be controlled by any other person. And this was to unearth the potential of an individual, and in the context, Ghana. Okay, now what did the colonial masters bring? What did their presence bring to Ghana? I tell you that it didn't only deny us of our freedom, okay, but it led to oppression, okay? And history tells us that our very own were enslaved, okay? They were used as cheap laborers, and they did not only earn no salary because of the barter trade that was going on, but they were being maltreated in our plantation. So the history books tells you that some people were even bitten by dogs, okay, as a result of the fact that they were tired and then they couldn't work. They were working under very dehumanizing situations. The next thing is they brought us division. I'm sure Zach will come here to tell us that the people ourselves were divided, the leadership were divided, okay? But I'm telling you that this division came as a result of the presence of these colonial masters. And so why do I say that? I tell you that these selfish individuals who were the minority were brought closer. They were used as bait. They were brought closer to governance, and then they turned against their own people. So their presence brought us division, okay? And then the next thing is that I tell you that it led to low self-esteem and then less national pride, okay? Now, what do we tell you? Ghanaians were strangers even on their own land, okay? And then there was the fear to resist, because none was motivated to stand up because of the suppression and trade colonizing strategies that these masters were using. And so patriotism was not somewhere to talk about. It wasn't a topic to debate in the then Gold Coast, okay? Now, factors of productivity. Invariably, after everything, it's going to hinder development. And I'm sure that's where he's going to come from, which I tell you that it falls out of the debate. Because the factors of productivity will tell me that they were in the hands of the colonial masters. They were in the hands of the strangers. And so how would they be empowered? Now, was it the right time? This is where I established the time factor. Martin Luther King tells you that the time is always right to do what is right. And we thought it wise that, now, the only solution to a pregnancy is an abortion. bringing it to the concept of colonization, I tell you that if Ghanaians or the then Gold Coast indigents did not stand up for their right and the freedom that I'm talking about, not development. Development is something else, okay? Like this, the concept of colonizing will become a canker. It will grow from time to time and it will suppress us as a people, okay? So the only remedy was to resist. Resist when? Early as possible, okay? Now the next factor too is leadership. I'm sure you'll come and tell you about leadership, okay? One thing about taking your destiny into your own hands is when you have leadership. If you have the factor of leadership, why not? Go ahead. The time doesn't matter. It's the people, the will to do, and then the mind and then the heart to work towards it. And we had an individual, despite the torrential political terrain, this individual was willing, okay, to bring up his ideas for the to foster the unity, foster the development that we need. And Osajifo came to the scene. Okay, so why delay when an individual was ready? Why delay if we had people who were going to work together? Why delay when your destiny is in your own hands? Okay, now, it's undoubted that Ghana has faced a lot of challenges, the post-independence era. We do not deny that. But the fact is that, would you want to live in a Ghana which its economy, sectors, every sphere of the economy and political terrain is in the hands of a stranger who dictates to you? Or you want to have a Ghana that is progressing steadily in the presence of challenges and then still have your affairs? Thank you.
Your time is up. Thank you very much, Nati. Now we will have you, Musbao.
Yes, I think I was quite disappointed at some of the claims he made. It's quite disappointing because we are talking about independence. And if you look at what independence really mean, independence is for someone being free from control or support. When you actually demand for independence, what you are saying to the people in the country is that you are actually going to stand on your own. You're going to leave void of any support. And we are asking that, as at the time Ghana demanded for independence, when Ghana made a clear statement that I want to control myself, I want to totally support myself, were we ready to support ourselves? And he was talking about the issue of leadership. Now, a country, even though that you need one unique person to foster leadership, you also need other people who can help you to foster this leadership. And this was a country, there was a young country which was actually thriving on sharp political differences. We were having political differences which was absolutely not good for this young country as at the time. We had political parties which were actually competing on ideological differences which were not good for the country as at the time. So even when Nkrumah came into power, one of the reasons why he postulated the issue of the one-party system was because, according to him, from one of his ministers who made the statement, he said that it was because, as at the time, for all the industries that he has built, he could not find any person in his party who could actually man these industries. And that was the reason why he was actually fostering this one-party system. So what I'm saying is that, as at the time Ghana was given independence, the truth is that we were not politically ready in terms of leadership, in terms of the people who could actually manage the affairs of this country. We were not ready. And in 1957, when Nkrumah made the statement that the independence of Africa is that a black man can actually manage his own affairs, as at the time Ghana gained independence, there was no black man in Ghana who could actually manage the affairs of this country to the core.
I take you on that.
Let me take you.
No, do you want to take it?
I want to take you.
Now, would you deny the fact that the presence of the colonial masters was also a dividing instance?
Well, I can even tell you and take you back to the bond of 1844. That was when we saw ethnic groups coming together under the authorship of the colonialists. The country was already under division. The country was already suffering under this ethnic division. And this colonialists came around, and what they were able to do is to even give us a nation, bring all these political parties, all these ethnic groups together, and we are even able to have a nation based on which Nkrumah was able to thrive and even go ahead with his independence quest. So the issue of division was actually not so much fostered by the colonialists. They had an agenda, and even though they had an agenda, they fostered unity in the country.
I take you on that.
Let me take you.
I insist that the presence of the colonial masters aggravated the situation of division in the country. That you cannot deny.
Division in the country to what extent?
It aggravated the division, the divisive nature of the Gold Coast.
And I'm telling you that after independence, even to the road of independence, we could see the sharp political differences that was in the country. The manner in which the country was totally polarized. We had the National Liberation Movement, we have the Northern People's Party, and all these things were dividing this country. And even after independence, we could see the state of the country today. the manner in which politics has divided the people of this country. And if you look at the state at which Ghana was in terms of unity, as at the time of the colonialism, Ghana was better off in terms of unity. The people of this country were much better united than today, because the chiefs the chiefs were considered so much. So what I'm saying is that the time that Ghana actually was granted independence, the time that we went in to take matters into our own hands, and where independence actually connotes that there ought to be total control. You have to control yourself totally. I think Ghana was not ready. We didn't have the necessary technical know-how to manage our economy. We didn't have the necessary technical know-how to manage even our political allies. And we can see the state of the of politics in Ghana today. If you look at the economy of this country today, we could say that it would have been better off if the colonialists had continued in that time, in that trend, and we could have come to take over.
You have 30 seconds more.
So, if you look at the state of Ghana today, I believe that the colonialists were preparing us to take over. Even the pursuit that the UGC were making, the self-government within the shortest possible time, from the document that we have in privy to, Ghana looking for self-government within the shortest possible time could have gained independence in 1954. The colonialists were preparing us to be able to take over the affairs of this country. They were preparing us. They were sharpening us so that we could be strong enough to take over the affairs of this country. But the manner in which we gained our independence, the struggle with which we took it, at that time, we were not ready to man the affairs of this country. And I believe that that is why we still see what we see today. That the very poverty that the Gold Coasters were suffering are still being suffered today in this country.
Thank you very much, Musbau Razak. Musbau Razak is of the view that our independence was premature. Kabu Nate disagrees. They have made their opening arguments. Now they have 5 minutes each to make any rebuttals that they have. In fact, two minutes each. So Kabu Nate, you have any rebuttals, you can make them in 2 minutes.
Madam Chair, just like I said that Zach will come here and then tell us, assess the independence of Ghana, the need for the independence of Ghana and the economy, I did say that he'll come and then he'll fall out of the debate. Because just like we've heard in the past 5 minutes, he's compared the progress of Ghana now to the then pre-independent era. And that I said that is not the focus of the debate. The focus of the debate was the freedom. Was it right for Ghana to struggle for independence? He talked about preparing us. And I tell him that under the theory of neocolonialism, or even before neocolonialism, colonialism, these whites came here purposely to exploit the ordinary people of Ghana. And so perhaps I will exchange my gold with you, and then you give me what you want, okay? The notion behind that trade was a long-term notion, and that is to cripple your economy. Cripple your economy. So the notion there was to cripple us. And then he talked about the current state of the economy. I disagree, because we are talking about, was it right for Ghana to have freedom? Okay. And then again, what do we tell you? I tell you that colonialism was a concept that was very deadly and was growing like a cancer. The only way to stop it was as early as possible. If we have the leadership, and the leadership like Kwame Nkrumah, why not subscribe to freedom? Why not subscribe to a means to development? And so development and then freedom are two different things. Freedom is the means to development.
Thank you very much, Kabu Nate. Now any rebuttals that you have?
Yeah, I think what you should appreciate is that the motion for this debate is that the independence of Ghana was premature. And when you're talking about prematurity, you're talking about, was it early? Was it too early enough for Ghana? And that's what you're talking about. We're not talking about justifying the fact that was it right for Ghana to go into independence or not. We are saying, was it right for Ghana to go for independence at the time they went for it? And that's what we are saying. That at the time that Ghana went for the independence, Ghana was not technically ready in terms of human resource capacity. If you look at the state of the country at the time, the divisive nature of the country, you cannot develop a newborn baby in a home, in a broken home. You can't afford to raise a child in a broken home. And that was the state of this country as at the time Ghana gained independence. The leaders whom we believe that had the capacity to turn the fortunes of this country around when the Gold Coasters left, as at the time that Ghana went for independence, these leaders were at war against themselves. They were at war against themselves. And if these are the people that you believe that can turn the fortunes around, and these same people were at war against themselves, then how can you actually make better this country that you claim you want independence from? And independence we are talking about is total freedom. Ghana today is not economically freedom. Even the key aspect of this country, elections, is not totally funded by this country. This country continued to solicit for support from the European Union, from the United Kingdom, to even fund its own election, a key aspect of its independence. And that's the extent to which this country has actually failed.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Musbah Razak. You have heard the spirited debates from Musbah Razak and Kabu Nate. What do you think? Who do you think won the debate? Let us know on our Facebook page. And what do you think? Was Ghana's independence premature? Thank you very much for staying with us. And let us hear your comments on who you think won the debate today.